Okay, so let's start out with, something kind of like a circle like that. All right, let's make sure that it's actually showing up good on there. Okay, so let's pretend for a moment that this is what they call the singularity. Let's give it a little bit of color. Imagine that this is filled with energy. Everything that the universe has in it is right now at this point in the singularity. This is the point. This is the start. They claim that this was so small that it was like a pinpoint, filled to the brim with all of the energy, nature, time, and space that becomes our universe. Okay. Now, as you can see, there's nothing around it, just simply this. Well, what ends up happening is the singularity explodes, and all this right here becomes the universe. Because of the explosion and the inertia, it's pushing out all the power and the energy from the singularity, which then creates our expansion. Our universe is literally, from the point of the singularity, still producing all the power from the explosion or implosion, whatever the hell you want to call it, that is pushing the entire universe. If you want a direction, we could just simply say forward. And it's getting wider and wider. Scientists believe that sooner or later, it's going to expand so far out that the second law of thermodynamics, entropy, sooner or later everything will come out of order. When this originally exploded, as you can tell right here, the way was more narrow. Things would have been all clumped up as they continued to beat each other on the way out. And the further it got out, the more the material ended up expanding out. And in doing so, at about this point, this is where the Earth, planets, stars, all these things start happening. But this wasn't the first thing that happened. When the singularity first exploded, the power and the energy was so massive that the entire universe within this area became extremely hot. And then there was a cool down period over billions of years where it ended up creating physical things like our moon, our Earth, our planets, the physical structures that are out in the universe. And of course, the universe is still beating the hell out of all these things that are bouncing off of each other, just as you'd expect from an explosion. Things are going to go outward. And then the Earth would be sitting about here, but it would be continuously pushed through space. But it's so tiny, almost like an ant, that you wouldn't even notice it looking at the outside sphere of this. Now, some non-believers are going to argue that there was nothing before the singularity. There's no way for them to ever know that. So if you hear them assert that or make that claim, tell them to back it up with evidence. There is no scientist out there that is claiming that nothing existed before the singularity. Stephen Hawking made an argument that there might not be something, but he did not say for a fact or that it was absolutely evident. But there was something that ended up creating all this. Lawrence Krauss says that the singularity came into existence from nothingness. There's no evidence or demonstration in science that this power and this energy came from nothing. Okay, so this is really important. Let's get some stuff in here. Within the universe, this came to happen. Time, space, matter, which in doing so, it created nature. Let's make this a little bigger for us to be able to read. Space, time, nature. Okay? Having a hard time getting hold of that. Okay. So, when nature ended up coming through, this ended up happening. We got one more thing that we want to do. We're going to put it right here. As nature came into existence, as did laws of nature. Let me make sure that on my OBS everything's coming through fine. This means that whatever existed before nature, what existed before laws of nature, was outside of nature itself. All this and the singularity existed outside of nature. It was because of the singularity and because of its power why it is all this exists, space, time, matter, nature. And then through nature came the conclusion of the laws of nature. The second law of thermodynamics is the reason why it is that we age. It's the reason why things rust, the reason why things die, the reason why things go into chaos and disorder. Space is continuing to pull apart. Some scientists believe that because the universe is so connected with the concept of time, that perhaps we could bend it and actually be able to time travel or be able to go through different moments and experiences through time. Others say it's impossible. Who knows? Whatever exists outside of space, time, matter, and nature isn't constrained by time in the way we would be that's existing in the universe. Because whatever it is that created this power, this force, this explosion, would be outside of it, that means that it would be outside of nature and the laws of nature itself. And that is the reason why it would be referred to as supernatural.